What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Y'all heard that theme music. Y'all see these beautiful faces. You know what time it is. It's the Let's Get Canceled podcast. I'm your boy, Big Tech Dog, your favorite friend and lovable loudmouth.
And I'm Tommy with an H. I'm the voice of the people. I speak for y'all. Hey, yo, cousin,
What up, cousin?
you ready?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. Let's get
Let's get
canceled.
canceled.
Listen, lovely people, I love y'all so much, man. Welcome, 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 welcome. We've got a wonderful show for you tonight. If you saw the thumbnail, you know it is. We're going to talk about the hard truth that black parents teach. And we got a little bit of a controversy around that, if you know what I'm saying. Also, we're going to talk about a couple of things that we've talked about before when it comes to certain preachers.
Got an update.
Got an update. I told y'all. I lied to you, and I'm sorry. I told y'all I was going to go live immediately when I found out about it. We did not because we were talking about more important things, but we're going to talk about it a little bit tonight. All right? So, first and foremost, Cuzzo, how you feeling, man?
Man, everything is everything. Life is good. Life is really good, man. So how about yourself? How you feeling over there?
I am the same, bro. I am feeling all right. I thank God every day for the way my life is turning out right now. Ooh,
Mm.
ooh. Yeah, I
What
thank
you
God
sipping
every
on? What
day.
you sipping on over there? What you
This is an
sipping?
amaretto sour, but I smoked it with peach wood chips. Peach wood
Mm.
chips. And so we're gonna see how this turns out. Uh I've never smoked an amaretto sour. I don't know. So it's unnecessary, but because I got the kit, I've been smoking everything. So that's how they go. But
Sounds like a good deal.
yeah, man. So yeah, everything is going good. Everything is going good. I've had a very stressful, long, stressful day. I know you've been having some things going on at the job too. Like you've been super busy and everything, right?
Yeah, man. Dude, people have decided they no longer wanted to work with us, so they moved along, and then their workload gets distributed to those of us who remain. So it is a little bit hectic now, but some relief is said to be coming down the pike. So we'll see how that all works out, man. But
That's
I had a
also
good weekend this weekend. Had some of the guys come by, sat out and watched some basketball. And speaking of watching some basketball, uh, your Orlando Magic had a little bit of a hiccup against those Detroit Pistons. I saw a 24-point lead get
evaporate.
melted away. Yeah, I think they just melted that away and then ended up losing that one heavily. And then that next game came out and game seven, you guys just didn't really show up in the second
We weren't
half.
the same. Listen, I am a Magic fan to my heart to the day I die. However, I am not stupid enough to believe that after blowing a 3-1 lead, that we were going to go back and take that one in Detroit.
Mm,
I knew that what I did not see that coming. We immediately fired the coach like the next day,
immediately. Yeah.
which he was on the chopping block already. I saw two things. Um, on one side, as a basketball guy, I think he's a really good coach.
Hmm.
I think he's a good guy. We like him here in Orlando. However, I don't think he has the skill set to be able to do for this group of ball players what needs to be done. Um, but I also one of our good friends, shout out to the Ballhead Barbershop. Uh, um, he had posted said like as a black man, I refuse to bash this black man
Mm.
who just lost his job, and I agree with that too. So shout out to everybody involved. Shout out to my boy Asher. He was devastated, bro. I already know it.
Oh
Like,
man.
oh God, it was rough. But
Yeah.
also last week, bro, we did the show at Judson's,
Yeah.
Dr. Phillips Center, man, and it was a movie, bro. It was a movie. Like they had
Glad to
fun. I had
hear
to
it.
do my thing. I might post some clips from that. Actually, if you follow me
Yeah, let's
on
get those clips
Instagram,
up, man. Let's get
if
those
you follow
clips
me on
up.
Instagram or Facebook, me personally, you saw some of the clips. I'll post some more clips later on, and we'll throw some on the Let's Get Canceled page. But while we in the vein, bro, listen, we appreciate everything that y'all are doing with us, man. We thank y'all so much. If you like what you are seeing, please make sure that you like, comment, share, subscribe. give us a thumbs up, man. Give us some interaction in the comment section. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time we drop new content right here on the Let's Get Canceled podcast. Also, if you like this show and you want to listen to us on your way to work or on your road trip or whatever, you can find us tomorrow anywhere that you get your audio podcasts. All right, just search the Let's Get Canceled 1L pod and you will find us there. Look for that logo and you can listen to us wherever you listen to your audio podcasts. All right, I appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Hit
Nothing
that
but
like button
love.
right now. Hit the like button. Hit the like button
Right.
first right now.
Right now. And then hit in the comment section and say, hey, done. So, so make sure to get comfy, settle in with a tasty beverage as we unpack some trauma. So,
Yeah, man.
first thing I want to
Cousin.
talk about, listen, man, we gonna,
Cousin.
yes, sir.
Your man's.
Nah,
Your
not
man's
my
out of
man's.
Duval.
No, that's right. If it's out of Duval,
You put
that's
him on-
your man.
You put him on my radar. And we did mention in the past that he was going through some legal troubles and that there would be a decision.
April 30th, he went to court to be sentenced. Now he pled guilty, asked for mercy, and they sentenced him. And official. Now I know earlier today, me and you talked, and it was some conversation and confusion over what the whether it was all legit and what we were going to report is correct. This is from your local Jacksonville paper. Like this is Channel 4. Is it Channel Jax 4?
News for
like
Jax.
Yeah,
News
something
for
like
Jax.
that. It's and it says Jacksonville pastor who tried to evade more than $600,000 in federal taxes sentenced to 9 months in prison. If you don't know who we're talking about, we are talking about the one, the only Brian Karn. Brian Karn was convicted of tax evasion, not tax evasion, excuse me. He was convicted of tax fraud. There's a difference. If you don't know, there is definitely a difference. He didn't try to evade, like not just tax evasion. He lied. Now, another thing that popped up, which I thought was very interesting, was that there are discrepancies in his most recent tax filing as well. After this one, he filed after getting into the trouble with this, I think before the conviction, or maybe it was after conviction before the sentencing, and he filed another tax return for this past year, 2025. And the story is that there's some discrepancies with that right now as well. So we'll see how that goes in the future. Yep. So yeah, that's how that goes. So
there may be something going down. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of a deeper dive into this at some point because, as always, I have questions for the church. And
What's
my
your
question for the church is, what do you do when your pastor goes to prison?
When your pastor goes to prison, we know what to do when the pastor have a baby. We know what to do when the pastor get arrested for all types of stuff. We know what to do. Some of y'all know what to do when the pastor touching the little boys at the church.
You know what to do when he's
Don't you?
jumping out
Hold
the
on,
windows
hold
of
on.
people's houses.
Don't you? Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. You the one watching. But anyway.
So that's gonna be a topic for another day. What do you do when your pastor's in prison? Right? Like I've got some follow-ups on that, but
you know it's funny.
Tonight we'll let that one ride.
He had done he was at church, and this one all over the internet. He was at church and he preaching heavy, he preaching hard. And he says, I got a call. And this is after the conviction, and he knew he had to go. He said, I got a call from a pastor. He said, now, y'all know I'm dealing with some legal trouble. And he was in his full hoop. I'm dealing with some legal trouble. And I go before the judge on May 30th. Not May 30th, April 30th. April 30th, excuse me. I think I said May earlier. My fault. April 30th. He said, I had to go to the judge. I got a call from a pastor friend of mine. Said, I want you to come preach for me on May the 1st. The whole church go crazy. Woo, woo. He said, yeah. And I was going to tell him, like, just wait till, after the 30th. And God spoke to me and said, didn't you say that you believe? Didn't you say that you trust God?
He knew he was
9
going to get that
months.
45 days. He knew he was going to get that 45 days.
He got a
turn himself
45-day
in.
break. So he is not in jail right now. He is out. He's got 45 days to get his affairs in order, and then he goes and has to turn himself into federal prison. But we'll hit that another time,
Like I said,
bro.
we'll get on that another day.
Yes, sir.
Topic for the night.
Yes, sir.
What we got?
The topic for tonight, sir, and I think you saw it earlier, y'all. The question is, the hard truth, the statement, the hard truth, Black parents teach their kids, right? We always, and whether you were told it explicitly or it was implied, we've all heard that as Black people, we have to work twice as hard as white people to be able to achieve half as much, right? Or some variation of that saying, right?
Right.
This came up because you sent me
Mm-hmm.
you sent me a story. And this story, and matter of fact, we're going to break this letter down, right? This letter was sent, and the title of it was an article, but in the form of a story. The title of this article, it said, Dear Mama, which I was mad off the top because you took one of the first Tupac songs that I liked, Dear Mama, and turned it into this. You were wrong to tell me I had to be twice as good as white folks. Said you were wrong to tell me that. And I thought this would be interesting. You said, hey, if nothing else, this is a good conversation. And I said,
It's a good conversation.
I think you're absolutely right. I had not read it yet.
Okay.
Now I'm upset because I've read it now. And boy, oh boy, let me pull it up for y'all because this is getting ready to be, it gets on my nerves.
Yeah. So for those of you who have not seen this this op-ed article that this young man put out, we'll go ahead and allow Tech to break this down for you.
And it's by a guy named Garrick A. McFadden, Esquire. So this is an attorney. This is an attorney. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look, and we're going to talk about this in sections. All right. And so first things first, it says, Dear Mama, you were wrong to tell me I had to be twice as good. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and put this full screen for y'all just so I don't have to be too pissed off. All right. It says, Dear Mama, you were wrong to tell me I had to be twice as good as white folks. First paragraph says, Dear Mama, you and Dad raised Rodney and I to believe we had to be 2 times better than white people just to get the same as them. I understand why you said this, and I know it came from a place of love. But, Mama, that sets me up to believe that it is okay for me to get half as much as I am worth. Where did you get that? I'm sorry. That is why I won't be teaching that to Pepper. Side note, never mind. If the white folk can raise their sons and daughters to be mediocre and expect the moon, then I can raise Pepper the same way. Number one, what nigga is named a child Pepper?
Pepper Potts.
If that ain't
the only Pepper I've ever known.
Said what?
But Pepper Potts is the only Pepper I know.
Right.
I think she was,
and she was white.
Or something like that.
And she was white. She was white.
She was what? She was.
Pepper Potts is Iron Man, but proceed.
There we are. But this is where that goes. Okay, so just as that start in that premise of you told me that I had to be twice as good, but you allow these others to be mediocre, and I'm going to raise my child to be mediocre and expect the moon, is what I took from what he said. Now,
you didn't take it from that because that's what he said. If white folks can raise their sons and daughters to be mediocre and expect the moon, then I can raise Pepper the same way. That's
the same
stupid.
way. Yeah, that to me is never something that our community wants to strive for, is mediocrity. Right. And to embed mediocrity into your child, I think that is a failure as a parent. Now, I can understand where he was coming from when he was saying, Mama sets me up to believe that it's okay for me to get half as much as I am worth. I can understand where he...
Where did you hear that in there?
I did not hear that, but I can understand how he can pull that. It's a reach, but he can pull that out of there. Because you have to work twice as hard to get half of what they get. So... Right. Not necessarily what you're worth, because that's the worth part is where he kind of lost me on it. But being told that you have to work twice as hard to get half of what they get, it does kind of put you in a position of expecting not to be treated fairly. And I
Oh,
don't think, and I think with him, he does not want to set that expectation for his child that they won't be treated fairly, the, regardless of how hard they work.
but see, I hear I hear what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, but that to me sounds like if I tell you, hey, you know that stove is hot, right? And what you extrapolate from that is to never go near a stove. No,
Mm-hmm.
nigga, there's ways to change that. There's ways to control that. There's ways to deal with that. But what you heard was it's hot. You'll burn yourself if you touch it. Then, so instead of turning it off or learning how to control it, how to use it, maybe designing something that doesn't get hot to the touch, but still cooks your food. I don't know. But instead of that, what you heard was never touch the stove. So when I hear, but mama, that sets me up to believe that it's okay for me to get half as much as I'm worth. That's what I hear. I hear an idiot is what I hear. If I am ever in trouble, please do not let this attorney come to help me because he's stupid.
He's gonna have you locked up. He's gonna have you
I'm gonna be
locked up.
locked up. They're gonna put me underneath the prison. Anyway, let me
You
go on to
take
the
it,
next
please.
paragraph. Let me go
Uh-huh.
to the next paragraph. It says, I understand that this world is not fair. I know what you and dad did was to protect us and forge us into the men that we needed to be to not just survive in this world, but to thrive. Yet, if we are being honest, the idea that we have to work twice as hard as a white coworker just to get the same, if we're lucky, is a form of learned helplessness. Perhaps this was your way of conditioning Rod and I for a world that routinely undervalues the labor of black men. Maybe it was your way of preparing us for a world that refuses to admit the existence of black brilliance. May I suggest this was your way of readying us for a world that would deny us promotions, not because of the quality of our work, but because of the moral failings of our employers? Can I ask you a question, Tommy?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Please.
Is it me or did he just say what they did, explain why they did it right
Mm-hmm.
after telling them they were wrong for doing it? And like all, I agree with everything he said after this. Where I know what you and dad did was to protect us and forge us into the men that we need to be. Check. To not just
Mm-hmm.
survive but to thrive. Check. If we're
Check.
being
Mm-hmm.
honest, the idea that we have to work twice as hard as white coworkers just to get the same, if we're lucky, is a form of learned helplessness. Wait a minute. How is
Mm-hmm.
that learned helplessness? Perhaps this was your way of conditioning us for being routinely undervalued, not a community or a culture, not understanding black brilliance. Yeah, that's exactly right. What is
Right.
confusing, bro? What are you not understanding?
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry. You
it's
go ahead.
not the idea of it's not the idea of helplessness, and I think that's where he kind of lost us along the way, was that conditioned or learned helplessness. It's not that you're helpless. That is not what that statement stands for. That is not what that statement should breed in your mind, is that you're helpless along the way. What it tells you is you have to do your best. Others may not have to. It's not that you're helpless. It's the fact that you don't get to live by the same standard of mediocrity that someone else does. And again, it is possibly because it's the way to ready, like as he says, readying us for the world that would deny us promotions because of, not because of the quality of our work, but because of the moral failings of the employer. So it is
Got the
just
point, and
simply
you still said it was wrong.
it is
Like, oh
it's
my
simply
God.
opening your eyes along the way. So now it's you get to recognize when things aren't going your way. You get to recognize that no matter in certain situations, no matter what you do, it's still not going to be good enough for some people. But that does not mean don't do your best. You understand that, yes, sometimes you have to work harder than someone else, but that doesn't mean you have to do more than you need to do and that you're expected to do. Your job is to do your job. I don't care how hard the job is. If it's your job, do your job. That guy may not do his job, but you should always do yours.
And not because of what you're getting ready to get from them, but for the type of person that you are. I give you an example. There's a thing, my wife does it all the time, and I do it all the time too. Now, I didn't always, but I
Mhm.
recognize. And have you ever heard that thing about if you want, like, simple things will tell you the type of person you are. Like when you go to the grocery store and you take the bucket all the way out to your car, And do you leave it over on the side, or do you return it to one of the cart returns, or do you take it back in the store? Whatever. I always, right now, always return it at the very least to a cart return that's in the parking lot. My wife, at the very least, will take it to a cart return because there's no consequences for not. It doesn't do anything, but it's just the right thing to do, and it doesn't make the job of the other person's easier or harder because they got to go around and pick up all the carts anyway. So it can be 20 carts around just in random places in the parking lot. But that's the type of person that you are. And I do it consciously because I didn't always, you know what I'm saying? I consciously go do it because what type of person do I want to be?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and when in that first paragraph, when he says raising his daughter, I guess Pepper, I hope Pepper's a daughter. I hope that's not a son. But Pepper, baby, listen, sweetheart, your daddy's crazy. Anyway,
it's the mediocrity acceptance.
Like you're going to accept mediocrity from other people and then say, so since they get away with it, my child is going to be mediocre just like them. That's the dumbest thing. There wasn't anybody black that was mediocre that I wanted to be like.
No,
that I was ever encouraged to be like. All right, let me go to the next paragraph.
Let's finish this one.
Despite your well-meaning intentions, this line of thinking has allowed black people and others to be plundered by greedy white employers for centuries. He might have a point there. If I am already resigned to not being promoted, then when it happens, I don't cause a scene. If I'm already resigned to not being promoted, then when the promotion doesn't happen, I don't cause a scene. If I'm already expecting to be paid less than my coworkers, many that I'm more qualified than, and I perform at a higher level, then when I am confronted with the reality, I just shrug it off. You and many black parents wanted your sons to maintain continuous employment throughout our careers. And now, to his point, that first part, despite your well-meaning intentions, this line of thinking has allowed black people and others to be plundered by greedy white employers for centuries. I don't agree with that sentence. But the next sentence speaks to mental clarity. If I'm conditioned to something, then when that something happens, it's not a surprise to me. It's not a shock. And I think we all do this to different degrees. If you don't expect anything, me and you talked about this once before, I believe. I got a friend named Petey Pablo, right? Petey Pablo and me and another homeboy, my other homeboy is much, much younger. He's actually the little brother of a homeboy. We get into a fight in Daytona spring break. When it's getting ready to go down, Biz, of course, at the middle of the story. Biz is drunk. He done pissed off some people. We getting ready to thump. It's like 8 of these niggas. And it's just me, Biz, Petey Pablo, and the young cat. I told the young cat, go sit down there on the steps because I got to see his mama tomorrow, and I'm sure this is getting ready to go bad, and I'm sure somebody's getting locked up. When I sent him down there, I turn around, Biz is drunk. I'm ready to we just getting ready to get beat up by 8 dudes. Right. It's just 2.5 of us because Biz is drunk, like he's not there.
Right.
I look to the side, Petey Pablo done go down there and sat down with him, with the youngster. What do we do this at? You know what I'm saying? Now, what I had to learn was that, okay, that's my boy. I just know now that if it's me and Petey Pablo getting ready to fight, I'm just getting ready to fight because he's not. I put him in his box. Here's his box. That's where he is. So now, if he does that again, I don't expect anything different.
Right.
And I try to avoid situations where I'm going to have to depend on him for that type of thing. You understand what I'm saying? This was years and years and years and years and years ago. I hope Petey's doing all right. I ain't seen him in a long time. But that's what I mean. That conditioning of, well, if I don't expect to get promoted, that's a bad thing. And it is a byproduct of some of the training that we've all gotten as black people, specifically black men, black males, specifically as black males.
Sit back to last week if you didn't catch that.
Right, yeah, you get it. But we've been conditioned that way, and I don't agree with that. And I think that this person has a point. But for him to say it's if I'm already expecting to be paid less than my coworkers, meaning that I'm more qualified than I perform at a higher level, what happens to the mediocrity? If you're more qualified and you perform at a higher level, that's not mediocre. Then when I'm confronted with the reality, I just shrug it off. And I don't think that's what your parents are trying to teach you,
No,
homie.
no. And again, that is not what they are trying to tell you is don't be mediocre. Don't
Right.
go out there and expect to be mediocre and still get what these others get. If you are more qualified, if you do have better performance, you should expect to be compensated and moved along as they should. What your
Absolutely.
parents are telling you is being mediocre, and if they're mediocre, you're gonna be looked over because it's not equal. You don't get to be equal with them. So you have to do better in order to expect better. But you think the fact that if I do the same thing that they do, then it should be equal. That's not that's I think that's where the parents were trying to make that particular statement. It's not the fact that when I excel, I don't expect. It's the
Right.
fact that when I don't excel, I can't expect.
And the thing is I was never taught to compare myself to white folks. It was
They're not the
never.
standard.
They're not right. And you've said that a million times. White folks are not the standard. I was never trained that. I was never taught that way. It was always what my father expected of me.
Hmm.
It wasn't you can't talk like that or you can't speak that way because so and so other people are going to look at you a certain way. It was you don't speak that way because we don't speak that way. You
Right,
understand? You
right.
don't act that way because we don't act that way. And right to this day, my sons don't live at home. Shout out to Bam Bam. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, son. But to this day, I talk to my daughter here. I say, hey, she says, can I go or can I do? Sure. And I look her right in the face and say, you know what I expect of you. You know how I expect to conduct yourself, and you know how I expect other people to treat you. Okay. And I leave it at that. I don't have to go into a long diatribe every time.
Right.
Today, I walked in the door, she was this close. She got a job. She
Awesome.
got offered a job, and she's got another job that's calling her for an interview. I told her straight up. She was like, Dad, I was just getting ready to text you. I was wondering if I should go to this other interview. I said, you haven't started another job yet. They haven't even given you an official start date. They've sent the offer letter and all that stuff, whatever, whatever. I said, what you do, I don't count the job until I walk in the building on the first day of
Right.
work. So weigh all of your options because if it comes down to you, they're going to weigh all theirs. If they
Indeed.
if that's the case, then you take your choice. And I said, but make sure I expect you to hold yourself to a standard and don't let anybody take advantage of you. That's what this dude is saying in this letter. It sounds like that you're teaching us to be taken advantage of, and I just don't see it. Everything that he has said his parents taught him, he understood it and then said, but I grabbed something else from it. You said maybe it was
Right.
because of this, maybe it was because of that, all the good stuff, but it can't be any of that good stuff. Maybe his parents just sucked, bro. I don't know. Maybe they were evil, abusive people. Let's go to the next paragraph. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He said, you had watched your father and husband get laid off or forced into early retirement. You knew that an unemployed man is a man that can become bitter and distant. Absolutely. You want it better for Rod and I. You want it better for the women that we would one day marry. I know you gave us the directive out of love. Again, let's just go to the next one. I just wanted to tell you out of love that I'm going to break this generational curse for my daughter. Thank God Pepper is a girl. All right. I will make sure that she is primed for the barriers and obstacles that will hinder her progress both in the workplace and in academia. However, she will not be indoctrinated with any philosophy that requires her to accept anything less than what she is worth. I'm doing this because it is time that we stop accepting being plundered because we are black and because they are white. In love, Garrick A. McFadden, Esquire. Now, I'm going to let you loose in like 2 seconds. I'm going to say it like this. I'm going to come to your house, right? I see Mrs. with an H. I say, hey, at this point, she knows I'm not gonna be drinking super heavy until we get into the show. She knows I'm not gonna be,
Right.
but also knows that depending on what time I showed up and stuff like that, she's gonna ask me, hey, do you want a cup? You want some coffee? Or if she doesn't, I can say, hey, cuz, can you do me a favor? And she'll say, this much cream and that much cream, whatever. Now she hands me that cup. If I walk into your house and she hands me that cup of coffee, I can say, you know what? It's possible that she's being thoughtful. Before I asked, it's possible that she knew that I was on the road for a long time and I left early, so she decided to make me a cup of coffee because she knows I like coffee. It's possible that she had this creamer and these cups ready because she knew I was on the way. Nope. It's because that you're trying to ruin my liver over there. That's what this letter reads to me, bruh. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's like, why would you? Why? Out
of all the love that it could be, I'm going to choose to say that you did this out of being indoctrinated into something evil.
He has a lot of points that are accurate. The points that he's making are accurate. Yes, there's no reason for us to think that we have to measure ourselves against the mediocrity of white folks. There's no point that there's no way that we need to look at outside of us to see where the standard is. We should have enough inner pride to say, you know what, I'm not going below this. Whatever this is, I'm not going below that because that's my standard. Not standard compared to him, not standard compared to her. But that's not what he said. That's not what your parents told you. That's what you didn't. And I'd venture to say he didn't even get that from what his parents said because he explained all the good stuff that should have came out of that. Right.
So
this is
don't say it. Don't say it. Don't bring those people into this. No, but I can understand what he's saying.
This is some MAGA stuff. This is MAGA. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This is Black MAGA. This is Black MAGA here.
MAGA.
But I like I said, I can understand where he got those points of view from about not being exploited and understanding that you that part I get. What I don't understand is kind of like with us last week of understanding when calling a woman a female, why do you hear something so horrible from that? So the fact that telling your child you have to be twice as good in order to get half of what they get is telling your child that you have to take being shit on by white people simply because you're Black. That and again, I don't understand how you get that from what that statement is. That statement to me has always been sense. Yeah, because to me that statement of you got to be twice as good just means, nigga, you have to set your standard here. They necessarily don't. But it never told me that I have to accept anything less than I deserve. But also what it also told me was it's not fair. So when things don't go right, and he did mention not complaining. No, it's not accepting and not complaining. It's just not crashing out. That's what we're not going to do. We're not going to crash out because life isn't fair. You have an understanding, but you have to be aware of when things are going that way.
But you know what it was from the beginning. When you walked in, because my parents, let me be clear. I never had this specific conversation of you have to be twice as good in order to get in. Mm-hmm. Never. I know what was taught to me, and I knew based on my experiences and conversations I had with my father and some of my older cousins and some of the older men who were around me, I understood that everybody is not being looked at in the same way. Mm-hmm. So opportunities that I qualify for and that may or may not rightfully be mine may not be offered to me, or I may not be allowed to pursue those opportunities because of my lineage. Now, that being said, nothing any of them people ever said, whether my father, my uncles, my older cousins, my friends, said to me, so there's no need in trying. Everything about anything that I saw around me was, oh, well, that means that if I got to work twice as hard to get the recognition from them or to get the opportunities from them, how about I just go ahead and work twice as hard and create my own opportunities?
Right.
Forget them.
Right. And it's always been forget them. It has never been anything associated with, well, yeah, let's see what they're doing, and then I'll go ahead and equal that. No, it's I set the standard here. In every position I've ever been, I'm the one that's setting the standard. Right. No one else gets to set that standard.
Right.
So when my work speaks for itself, then
can't do nothing
there's nothing you can do about that, because if you do decide to overlook me on this and give it to someone else, when things start to go haywire and things are not what you expect, you're going to come
nobody
back
to blame but them white folks. I'm sorry.
Right, but you're always going to end up back in front of me, because you know I'm the indispensable member. That's one thing my father taught me from day one, from job number one. Even when he made me go work at that gas station because I stole a piece of candy when I was 8 years old, that man told me I had to go in there. He's like, "And you better work harder than that." What's that? What
I'm gonna need you to explain that story, brother. I've not heard this story.
Oh, I was 8 years old. Went to the store, asked him to buy me some candy. He told me no. And when I got in the car, I was unwrapping candy. And again, not being a seasoned criminal at that time
at all, because I would have waited till I got back to the house in the room.
See. Seasoned criminal, not so much a seasoned criminal. They always told me I was too dumb to lie. So I get in the car and I'm gonna wrap a candy. Like, where'd you get that from? So I got home, I got myself taxed, and then the next day we are, hey, Andy. Hey. And then I go back into he takes me back into the store, makes me apologize, and he makes me work there from, I think it was 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. on a Saturday. Yeah.
They let you. No child labor laws, yeah, because Uncle T said he working today. They just let him.
Right, and that he told the people, he was like, "Yeah, man, he took something from y'all that didn't belong to him, and he caught one at home, but now you got to catch one here." And
wait, you worked for how long?
I worked from 8 a.m. to what was it, 7? I think it was 7 or 5 or 7 p.m. It was a full long day.
8
double.
to 10 hour
I worked a
day.
Double. Yeah, I worked a double. Yeah, and I was sitting in the
for one store. Candy bar.
It wasn't even a candy bar, bro. But it was the fact of we don't steal. We don't steal. And to this day, boy, I don't take nothing from nobody, bro.
There is a thin line between teaching a lesson and child labor violations.
I was not an employee. I was slave labor at that day.
Right, that's worse, nigga. That's worse. That's worse.
And ain't no labor laws for slaves. But no,
the point is there's no slavery.
But when he told me to go in, he was like, "Man, you better be the best worker in there." And I'm 8 years old, like 3rd grade. So I'm in there doing any and everything. Then people told me I could sit down.
Your friends told you yes. The next day at school was like, "Hey, what'd you do yesterday?" "Man, I had to work."
But like it's the neighborhood store, so all the kids from the neighborhood coming in. Like,
they knew
working.
They all knew.
Everybody knew. But it's like, why are you working? We didn't tell them why I was working, but everyone knew I was working. But he was like, "No, you're not sitting down. You're not taking breaks. You're not doing any of this stuff here. It is what's going on."
Apparently, I got in trouble with my granddaddy for taking care. Hey, listen.
Welcome to the chat, hey. Welcome to the chat, baby.
My mama just comes in snitching from jump. Anyway, but listen, man. Let me ask you a question, and we gonna get out of here, y'all. But I'm gonna ask you a question. If you had kids, what would you teach them about the situation? Because let's be honest. I'm gonna be real with you. I have 3 sons. They're all grown now, and I got 1 daughter. One thing my sons know. And what they knew is that, hey, it's dangerous out there. You can't go everywhere and expect these problems. My daughter knows your daddy's got a lot of bullets, and your brothers are around, and they'll be here in a heartbeat. When people ask me, hey, how come you went back to get the girl? Yeah, well, I had the boys first, so I don't have to do all this jail time by myself. Let's be real. So. And they have a wonderful relationship with their little sister. So I don't have to worry about that. What would you tell if you had a son and you got nephews and stuff like that? What do you tell them about the police?
They have to understand that you don't get to act the same as everyone else. And that's something that I've been telling the kids around me, family or not, for as long as I can remember. You don't get the same grace that they get. And again, it's something that was taught to me. My parents sent me to a semi-private school for high school. And there were a lot of white kids around there. And from day one, that was an understanding that you don't get to do the same things they do and expect the same outcomes. So you have to hold yourself to our standard, not their standard. When they go out here and start doing certain things, then you have to separate yourself from that. You can't be included in everything simply because it's what kids are doing. You're not looked at as a kid. So you don't get to go out and do the stupid things. Now, the fun things, go and have fun, go enjoy yourself. But when it comes to criminal activity, you are definitely held to a higher standard, not necessarily not even in life, not even held to the higher standard in life, but you're held to a higher standard with us. So you don't get to go out there and do this other stuff, because even if they don't catch you, if I find out about it, you're gonna be working at the store.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Like those are the things. So these are always the things that I embed in anybody that's around me. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, you have to live up to my standard. You don't live up to the standard of the outside. You have to live up to the standard that we create. And once we create that standard, you don't drop below that. And again, it's always the same thing. Like, dealing with the cops, I've always been I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Like, you're gonna catch these words. I'm going to say it in the most respectful way possible, because my mother always taught me to use my words. So I'm going to say it in the most respectful way possible. I'm not going to degrade you. I'm not going to disrespect you, but you are going to get an understanding of where I'm coming from. I'm going to say, yes, sir. It's kind of like how they say in the military, you can say whatever you want to as long as you say sir after it. I'm going to give you everything I got, but I'm going to just, yes, sir. Yes, sir. But that's stupid. Yes, sir. I don't believe that's the truth. Yes, sir. I think you're full of, like, it's gonna come out respectfully. But I need an explanation, sir.
Look, me and Breeze, me and D was talking about this the other day. D said, he was telling somebody else, and I walked up, and he was like, bruh, tell him. And I was never afraid of police. Never afraid of police. I was afraid of Denise, not police.
What?
I was afraid
Straight
of
up.
Because I don't have a criminal record, because there were plenty of times D and Biz, they got arrested either going to do something after dropping me off, or getting caught with something that we all was doing after dropping me off. But please understand, they did not want, I was scared of Denise. I didn't care about police. D was scared of Denise. Biz was scared of it, because we all, and I would say, this is where normally you'd be like, no, it's a respect thing. Like, no, but we don't. I didn't want to piss off his parents. He didn't want to piss off mine. But realistically, I'm scared of Miss Breeze, and he was scared of Miss Tech. You know what I'm saying? Like,
because it's never about the outside consequences.
No, it's never
for us. Like, for me, it was never about me getting in trouble. It was about me disappointing my parents. Right. And like I would always say, if I go inside and my name ends up in the paper, no one's going to look at Tommy with an H. They're going to be like, oh, that's Pastor.
Right.
They're going to see that name, and they're going to associate that with him immediately. And I don't want to disrespect his legacy over anything that I did. So there were a lot of times that I would excuse myself from situations, or the guys around me would be like, hey, man, you got to go, because of the respect they had for who my parents were. So they were like, nah, Tom, you can't come on this one. What you mean, man? Nah, bro, we'll come get you later. We'll holler at you later. So there's always the respect of how I was raised and who I was raised by. Right. So that's another thing even my cousin's son, he went through a whole lot of stuff, but I always told him, you bring it to my auntie's front door, and you're gonna have to deal with me. Right. So there were certain things that he would go outside and get in all kinds of nonsense. But I'm like, if any of it ends up at my auntie's front door, you don't have to worry about the cops. You don't have to worry about the ops. You don't have to worry about any of this. You don't have to worry about your grandma. You're going to have to deal with me. And that kept him out of a whole lot unnecessary things that he would eventually bring back home. Now he did get himself in trouble outside, but there was nothing. Yeah, out there, because nobody's going to know where you live. Nobody's going to be following you home. You're not bringing anything over here. You're not doing anything over here. Like, you have to have a respect for who we are. And if you end up letting it happen, you don't have to worry about Tallahassee Police Department. You don't have to worry about any of that.
You want to know something funny? My uncle, God rest his soul, he recently passed away. My uncle, he had came down from Philly, and he lived with us in Altamont for a while. And he worked at Cinnabon. I never ate so many Cinnabons in my life. They were delicious. But at the mall. But anyway, he did some stuff, and my daddy wasn't really having it. He did some things or whatever. And it wasn't never no big thing. It was just, you got to go. You know what I'm saying? So he moved in the same complex. He was like four apartments down, living with some dudes up here. Well, one day, and my mom was on here. I don't think she knows this story. So I'm, hey, mama. Sorry.
Hey, auntie.
So what's this? So he came back to the house one day, knocking on the door. I'm there. What up? Come on, nephew. Come
on. On here too.
Yeah, I see it. Here. I think she might know the story. I don't know if she knows. He's like, come on, nephew. Right. I said, all right, cool. I go down there, and when we walked into the apartment, there's like 4 dudes sitting on the couch. When I tell you they were in different ways of getting beat up, like we talking about ice packs and blood, and they sitting on the couch like this with their head down. And he said, come upstairs with me. I had to go upstairs and help him bring his trunk downstairs. And on the way down there, he was telling me, he's like, yo, he think I'm messing with his girl, blah, blah, blah. They think they're going to jump me. And he whooped.
He done locked up the house.
He done locked up the whole house. They came in to fight him, like jump on him while he was asleep. And he whooped them all, and they sitting on the couch. So he come down, but the last thing he said, walking out of that apartment, he said, if any of y'all bring any drama down to my sister's house, call your mama and tell them to buy black. I went, ooh, that's the nastiest line I've ever heard. But the point was, and I watched him go outside with my daddy a couple times, and my daddy had to talk to him like he talked to me sometimes. It was funny, but like it was that listen, this is, you can do whatever. You can catch me at the corner store, you can catch me at the block, but it will not come to my sister's house. It will not come to and I never saw him again. You know, I never saw those people again. I saw my uncle again, but I never see them again. But it was there's a respect level for the people who sacrificed for you to raise you, to put you in the position to make the decisions that you want to make, to be successful, or to go be a piece of crap for the next 20 years until you get your act together. I'm pretty sure it was all nervous about it.
But they never told you go out and be mediocre and expect the world.
Never. There was never a chance. Never.
And that's the one thing that with that entire letter that he wrote to his parents,
stupid.
The understanding of you have to be twice as good to get half of what they get. He equated that with go out and be mediocre and expect to get what they get, which is.
So what that tells me is that his parents were either phenomenal and their child is stupid, or they never really said that. He's just talking out of his butt, and he grew up in an orphanage. Because I don't see any, I don't see how you can say that and then tell all the things that were supposed to be the lesson from that, and then say, but what I got out of it was, that means you're retarded. But I'm sorry, go.
But again, that's the standard. And again, I know someone mentioned in the chat double standard. Someone else put quadruple standard. Like but my thing is, you have to set your own standard, and I think that's where I'll leave this one for that. Parents, set your standard for your children. Live up to God's standard. Hey, there you are right there for that. That's it. There is a standard that we set for ourselves that we won't go beneath, but that does not mean that we have to accept anything from anybody. That's never been, because God ain't never tell us to accept being treated bad either. You said turn the other cheek, but he also had folks out there beating up the life. So you don't have to take disrespect, bro.
Chopping ears off, the Lord will fix it.
Oh man. But cousin.
Yo, what up, cousin?
We ain't been canceled yet, man, so we gotta do this again.
We gotta do it again, y'all. Make sure that y'all follow us on all your social media platforms.
Hit the like button right now. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button right now. Do that.
And subscribe. Share this with a friend, man. Hey, Cuzzo, we'll catch you next time, boy. I love you, boy.
Catch y'all. Love you too, man. Love y'all. Y'all be easy.
All y'all mothers out there, happy Mother's Day coming up.
Happy Mother's Day, all the mothers out there. Hey, I
love you, Mom. Happy Mother's Day, Mama.
Not tardy. Touch of the tism.